A Tale of Two Santas. Now, in the retrospective prior, we covered Xmas Story, obviously, and that's, excuse me, probably one of the episodes, I don't know if you still feel this way, we gave like a bit of a lesser assessment of.
Yeah.
And now, just to be clear, like, as a kid, it was super exciting and edgy and like, just rebellious and awesome that like there's just the Christmas episodes of Futurama feature this evil murderous robot Santa who caused carnage and destruction. Like that was wicked. But watching them again now, it's just like, when you're got the option of watching any Futurama episode you want, you don't really think to pop on like one of the Christmas episodes of any show.
As an adult, that wicked idea, it sort of wears a bit thin as well.
It doesn't have the same entertainment factor.
I do still like Santa, but it doesn't have anywhere near the same sort of level of interest. You're just like, oh yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I guess that's true. And then so Xmas Story, I don't think is one of the
it's not as
great
exotic.
episodes of season 2. Yeah. And then as a sequel episode, maybe they were going to make this a tradition, but it's not one they kept up. Robot Santa didn't appear again until Bender's Big Score, actually. And I loved his appearance in Bender's Big Score. I would just to jump ahead. That's actually my favorite Robot Santa appearance /
Yeah, I agree. Definitely.
I mean, Bender's Big Score is a really good piece of work anyway, so like the best featured Robot Santa by far.
And it has the Hanukkah zombie and the Kwanzaa bots return as well.
Yes. So yeah, Hanukkah zombie does appear for the first time.
Yeah,
he's mentioned here. I forgot he appears in Bender's Big Score actually.
And I love Kwanzaa bot. It's a great little
Coolio,
side gag, Oh, is it voiced by Coolio?
Yeah. It's in the credits there. So.
I think I did know that. I've just sort of forgotten. One other quickly funny thing about Bender's Big Score. When we were watching Parasites Lost, I almost thought that the line would be in this, but I forget it's from Bender's Big Score. I love that line where, I guess Fry's like, that's why I realized it's from the Big Score. He's like, why is like Lars more mature than me? And Leela goes, for one thing, his checkbook doesn't have the Hulk on it.
That's classic. I love that line a lot. That's
so good.
No, because see, that was great about, like, they had the break and then the films came out and the films felt like nothing had really changed.
Yeah.
Like the tone was all still there. It was just, you ate it all up. I certainly did. And then the season 6 and 7 rolled along and it just kind of wasn't the same. And I was like, there's been less time between the movies.
Yeah.
The show to the movies.
The movies was only like a year or two after it was sort of cancelled.
No, the movies are way later.
Oh, really?
The Futurama ended in season 2003, and then the films didn't rock up till 2007.
Okay, I thought the Bender's Big Score was maybe like 5 or 6.
No, that was way later.
Okay, I didn't realize that was 7. Okay.
I was waiting for Bender's Big Score to come out since like 2006.
Nice.
I remember the trailer came out online. I was really excited.
Cool.
Because there's no more Futurama. They had Futurama coming back. It was like it was exhilarating.
Yeah, I remember like Channel 10 saying there's a new Futurama and watching it when it first aired.
See, I got the DVD.
Yeah, because it was released as like a.
That'd still be my parents' place. Hopefully, that was beautiful silver DVD. They came and it was magnificent.
Nice.
And I watched it. I would have watched it like after 10 times over that summer holiday. Just.
Yeah.
Futurama. And it was Bender's. It was
That's
great.
True.
It was such a high level of quality too.
I remember. Yeah, what year is Beast with a Billion Backs?
That was early the next year. That was early 2008.
Yeah, okay, because I remember that watching it as like a rental at a friend's house and then seeing it on TV like a few weeks or months later and being like, oh, I've already seen this. So that's probably the same with the Big Score, eh?
Yeah.
It was on like DVD before it was on TV.
And I'll never forget Bender's Game at the end of 2008, which I adored Bender's. I was all into D&D, sorcery, nice. So I ate Tolkien, I ate Bender's Game up. But anyway, it's jumping ahead. Tale of Two Santas. I think it's a fair bit better than Xmas Story. It's a superior sequel. It's actually a good sequel episode as far as that goes, where it takes the elements that did work about the original, and kind of explores them more. You go to see Santa's homeworld on Neptune. You see kind of this toy factory, his lair, him menacing the characters on his world, and then sort of sneaking back to Earth from like a sort of Cape Fear style. And then terrorizing Earth with Bender in tow seemingly at first, and then he kind of gets back at Bender for trying to replace him. Like, I actually think it's a cool, it's almost in like a good horror movie sequel way. Like, they do more of the antagonist, and there's more opportunities for interesting animation. Xmas Story was bogged down with a bit of not terrible sentimentality with Fry and Leela. In this is all just like pure like black comedy. it's interesting how the tables are turned. Where like I always found it was interesting, even as a young person. I was like, oh, everyone's really prepped for Santa this time, and obviously they probably wouldn't have stood a chance against the actual robot Santa, the robot Bender Santa. Like they really do a number on him. He gets torched. He gets his legs crowbarred.
Yeah, I always felt bad for Bender.
I
as
do.
A kid in this episode.
Yeah.
And even watching it now, sort of again. When he just dumps all the toys down the drain, I guess there is the charity bin right next to him. But that's a funny sight gag. But yeah, when he does that and then he goes to have a drink, you're like, yeah, like, you do sympathize. And then he gets put on death row.
Mm.
And yeah, I guess the sight gag about with the devil as well, the robot
that's
devil.
Classic.
That's a good one. This episode is full of like kind of funny sight gags.
Oh,
really
and I'm his friend Jesus. We loved that as kids.
Yeah, as a kid, that was
hysterical because we loved Zoidberg, all the primary school kids. Yeah. That was like that was the Zoidberg bit in a way.
Yeah.
Along with also the Parasites Lost bit, Yippee-ki-yay, as year 4 kids thought they got that at least. I didn't really get it. I knew, I had an idea of what a sperm was, but not the extent of what you would when you're a grown up.
Yeah.
Or grown up, like 13. But no, it's just, I think it's fairly good. I mean, I tend to think that season 3's got a fairly high standard of quality to it, and I don't think this rises to the real impressive moments of the run. Although, yeah, like, it is nice that...
It really is just sort of a funny episode. At least it's not that entertaining otherwise, other than the sort of clever...
Yeah, it's not cerebral or anything.
It's just the clever sight gags,
Decent musical number for what they were.
Yeah, it's one of the better musical numbers. Like, to do
a
cheesy number with that sort of sarcasm, it's sort of...
give you all the beating, bro. I really have to fly.
Yeah, it's clever in that sense. It's rare when one of these animated shows has a musical bit that you just don't want to just fucking turn it off,
Yeah, like The Simpsons with the Apu. I never liked that song.
Or even
we put the Spring in Springfield's annoying.
I talked about Duckman as well. The songs in that are generally terrible as well.
Yeah, there's a couple, isn't there?
They even had a joke in like the ending of an episode where like they did a song earlier and then like as it played out it was mute and then a thing flashed up on screen. It was very 90s. It just said, "We ran out of budget for a second song. Thank us." Because they know how terrible it is.
Yeah, I wonder why they do it though.
I know. Whereas, this song for what it is for one of these cartoon shows, you're actually like, this it adds to the comedy of the episode.
Yeah, but the great, really only really good song on the show, and it's a great one, is Hell's Other Robots.
That's
track
for an animated cartoon.
Better than any of The Simpsons' songs, probably.
Easily. The Simpsons songs are,
Except, when they're parodying a real song, like Dr. Zaius, it's Rock Me Amadeus, it's kind of good.
That's a good bit, yeah.
See My Vest is one of the more tolerable ones as well. It's a funny, like, all the visual in that sequences are really funny and morbid.
That one works more so than
and the fact that Bart singing it at the end is always amused me.
Yeah, it wins him over. That's a good bit, for sure. This episode's definitely not cerebral. It's just, sort of like snarky play on Christmas tropes, But or at least more. I guess that's maybe more the first Christmas episode of this show from the previous season. This one at least gets a bit more adventurous with it, with, like Bender playing a role and things like that, which makes it more interesting. It's more in line with season 3, but nowhere near its best.
Yeah. It's like, I do like the idea, and I really admire that they wanted to do this sort of idea again, and they did top it, you know what I mean? I love the idea of like a superior sequel. It's kind of exciting to me when you kind of build the elements into like something new. I like the idea of it in any context, when you're trying to build on what you did and like, oh, we're going to take it in this direction. It's always fascinating to me it can be intrinsically. And so, I guess kudos to the episode for that, but otherwise, like the first one, it's not a major classic, though I have definitely more to praise about this one than that one prior. Yeah,
I guess it's like a Christmas episode mixed with 22 short stories about Springfield, but rather it's 222 sight gags in a Christmas episode. Like, even I was just thinking of more of them, like Zoidberg in the eggnog, Or at the start of the episode, I always love when the polar bears jump into the ammonia, and more is just like, there were no survivors.
That's classic Futurama.
As a kid, I just thought that was hilarious.
Well, because as a kid, there was no other show that was so just so playfully horrible like that.
Yeah.
But also not going too far with it either. Like, it knew it was
rides
bad.
the line perfectly.
Yeah, because I think shows like, I didn't see much of it, but certainly from what, and I definitely, I was going to say South Park, but I definitely saw more of shows
South
like
Park's
Family
whole
Guy
shtick, and that is not
and Robot Chicken, where like they were just like mean for its own sake, to the point where like it wasn't as funny. It just came across as like kids like torturing insects after a while.
And it gets a bit boring.
Oh yeah.
When you have no metric, there's no meter to compare what's not horrible to. Just horrible constantly is no longer funny.
But dare I say, like, and considering they compared themselves positively to Family Guy, they'd probably agree. But South Park actually, like, South Park would do things arguably more horrible than both. At least Family Guy. The Family Guy got really horrible later on.
South Park would do things more horrible, but it also
there'd always be a character like knowing that it was bad. Like there'd always be Kyle and Stan.
And they would also do things way more saccharine, to sort of balance it out. It'd be South Park is sometimes very saccharine, right?
More like season 6 onward.
Less when they're in there, when they try to mature up.
The first like 5 seasons have less of that, I think.
No, for sure, because it's more of a sort of like juvenile show.
Yeah.
Whereas when they try to mature, quote unquote, right?
Yeah.
Is when it gets
nauseating.
They try to balance out the
that stuff hasn't aged that well.
They try to maintain the juvenile sense of humor, but balance it out with a sort of Aesop fable like morality system or something that can sometimes like turn saccharine,
Oh, a lot of the time even. People might sometimes talk about the earlier, like late 90s era of South Park, early 2000s era of South Park not aging that well compared to like the late 2000s stuff. But I would say that the 90s stuff, though, very much of its time has aged better because it's a product of its time versus that kind of corny, sanctimonious 2000 stuff of South Park, like season 6 to 12 or whatever. Like there's some real just like self-important nonsense in there, I think.
Sure. Yeah, it's but in a way that is the Bush era, so that's also of its time. If that makes sense.
Oh, it does, yeah. And then obviously all the stuff that came afterwards.
As opposed to those earlier seasons are like that Y2K like Woodstock '99 era,
Yeah. No, it's interesting like that. But that's Tale of Two Santas. I guess that's all I have to share about.
Yeah, me too. Here. Funny episode, nowhere near the best, but if you've never seen it, watch it. But
sure. Any of these episodes.
Yeah.
Well, none of these are worth skipping, in my opinion. If you're watching the 4 seasons for the first time, I don't think any of them I would say skip.
Nah. Futurama doesn't have like the Fly situation.
What do you mean?
Oh, the Fly episode of Breaking Bad.
I don't like Breaking Bad that much.
Sure, but you get what I mean. You know how like some shows will have it just in an episode where it's just needless to watching it, It's some sort of self-contained, like pompous storyline or something like that, For example, Star Trek Next Generation has plenty of those. A bunch of shows do, right?
Yeah. I'm even thinking of like Doctor Who's an interesting case where like I don't know like
I'm sure that's got skippable serials.
I would say like it's the ones that are the most sort of understandable to skip are frankly the ones where they're all or mostly missing from the 60s.
Obviously, yeah, for sure.
But I mean, I still watch. I still think it's interesting to sort of imagine. And a lot of them have animated reconstructions now, which are quite good.
Someone's done that. That
makes sense. BBC have done that. Yeah.
Oh, the BBC did it. That's sick.
No, they're fairly good for what they are. They're relatively straightforward and simple, but like I mean, they're out there. They have so much money, obviously, and but I mean, it's hard to say like what's worth skipping because different people can like different things on that sort of show. Like some people like character development and sort of like weird dramatics more, whereas I like the production values and sort of the more genre components of the show more than like some people really like the historical period pieces during like the first Doctor's era. I mean, I think they're okay, but I just don't think that's the show's strengths,
Yeah.
Like the dramatics aren't going to be as good as like actual television dramas, and those dramas aren't that great anyway.
Sure.
So like I just feel like the show's at its best. Like with Futurama, like I complained about all the season 2 sort of character episodes, like if Hermes or Zoidberg, or even like Bender Gets Made is like a fun episode, but it's like it's not. Mother's Day is like, and Problem with Pop was an era, and you're just like, huh?
Yeah.
Well, like I love Put Your Head on My Shoulders, but then by comparison, you got episodes like we'll say The Honking, where you're just like, what's going on here? Whereas season 2 is like season 3 and 4 are more like very concerted sci-fi themed episodes, like Time Keeps on Slipping, Roswell That Ends Well, Fans of Parabox, The Sting, Wire Fry, this one, the previous one, Parasites Lost, and or Godfellas.
Yeah.
To name probably up to 3/4 of that category in season 3 and 4. But anyway, no, as I said before, I've got nothing else to share about this episode, Tale of Two Santas. So I guess I'll close it. Thank you, everyone.